Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Kent Lutzen. The government has begun shutting down on the one-year anniversary of President Trump's inauguration. Senators blocked a House-approved continuing resolution that would have paid the bills through mid-February. Now, the White House says it won't reopen immigration talks until Congress reopens the government. CBS' Mo Langley has more.
A Senate vote to fund the government through February 16th failed.
The motion is not agreed to.
Private discussions continued on the floor even after the midnight deadline came and went, but to no avail.
The government shutdown was 100% avoidable, all because Senate Democrats chose to filibuster a non-controversial funding bill that contains nothing, not a thing they do not support.
Democrats were holding out for a comprehensive spending bill and a deal to protect dreamers brought to the U.S. illegally as children. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said his earlier meeting with President Trump looked promising, but the president later backpedaled.
He walked away from 2 bipartisan deals, including one today in which I even put the border wall on the table.
The White House has branded this the Schumer shutdown. And in an official statement, Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders called the Democrats obstructionist losers.
The majority leader is proposing a resolution to fund the government through February 8th, a week past the president's State of the Union address.
It's unclear when the Senate might vote on that, and any deal would also have to pass the House. A partial shutdown won't affect much in the early hours of the weekend, but it could ultimately furlough about 800,000 federal workers and leave military personnel unpaid. Even the CDC wouldn't have the personnel to support its annual flu program. Mo Langley, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Social Security checks would still be mailed out, and because the Postal Service has its own funding, mail will still be delivered and post offices remain open. And Montana Senator Steve Daines was one of many who spoke on the floor today. In a statement, Senator Daines said, quote, "I'm here to make one point crystal clear for those Montanans who are wondering what is going on with their government. The reason that the government has shut down is because a controversial illegal immigration policy was not included in a bill that funds the government." Senator Daines added, quote, "We should not hold the country hostage for a controversial immigration policy that impacts 0.0007% of Montanans." And Senator John Tester also spoke on the floor. His response to the failed government funding bill is, quote, "Congress has failed for 112 days. The budget ran out in September of last year. Since then, there has been no progress made, none. Instead, they have proposed 4 short-term crisis funding bills that fail Montanans, and I will not let Washington fail Montana anymore." Both Montana senators voiced their concerns on the Children's Health Insurance Program, also known as CHIP. Not only would the bill have kept the government open for 4 weeks, but it would have included a 6-year reauthorization of CHIP. The insurance program gives 24,000 Montana children access to health care. And here's a look at those highest numbers of children enrolled in CHIP through the state of Montana, with Yellowstone County holding the most at 3,288. And airmen at Malmstrom Air Force Base are still reporting to work after the government shut down at midnight. According to Malmstrom's Facebook page, commanders are working to find out what services will be affected. They're also encouraging airmen that need help during this time to contact their first sergeants, supervisors, and commanders. The Montana Defense Alliance Chair David Weissman says these men and women will continue to make sure our missiles are ready.
I think the thing to keep in mind is that essential services will continue to be available. It is inconvenient. There's absolutely no question about it. From our perspective, it's very frustrating that we're playing politics with something as important as our nation's budget and budget certainty for our military to work with. And we would really like to see ourselves get through that as soon as possible.
MTN has reached out to the Montana National Guard and will update you on how the shutdown will affect Fort Harrison and the Montana Air National when we know more. And back here in Missoula, thousands of people flooded the streets today, rallying at the women's marches across the country, including right here in Missoula. MTN's Lauren Heiser was there and spoke to many activists, and she joins us live now in the studio. Lauren.
Thanks, Ken. These marches were inspired by the Women's March on Washington that took place almost exactly a year ago. At this year's march here in Missoula, there were thousands of people in attendance. It began at the X's and ended with a rally in Caras Park. Advocates for the rights of women, the disabled, and other groups gave speeches encouraging change. Many people marched holding signs and talked about why they chose to walk.
We have rights! We have
I'm actually walking for women who were denied their own ability to walk, and also missing and murdered Indigenous women, which are tied to that.
I want my siblings, my little sisters, to grow up and feel like they have their rights and that they're happy.
Fight against all the corruption that's going on in Washington, the things that are going on against women. So many issues, so little time.
Make your voices be heard. If you don't like the way things are, then let's change them. Go out and vote. Yay!
I'll have more on the meeting behind the march at 10 here on KPAX. Kent, now back to you.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, if you were out at the march or outside this afternoon, you may have enjoyed some sunshine and blue skies. With the very latest with weather, let's go to meteorologist Louis Dortch. Louis.
Yeah, thank you, Kent. Good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a great Saturday. We did start to see a little bit of some sunshine peek through the clouds in the afternoon time. Overall, not a bad day. This is what it looked like down in Hamilton from our First Security Bank iCamp taken earlier this afternoon. Not a bad day as temperatures made it up into the 30s. So this is what we're watching for the rest of the week and moving into next week. Here's your forecast headlines. High pressure starts very early tomorrow morning, so we could be talking about a little bit of fog tomorrow, then partly sunny skies as we roll into the afternoon. A weak system's going to bring us our next chance of some light snow as we roll into Sunday night into Monday morning, and then active weather continues to next week. All those details coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Louis. And in more national news, the sentencing of former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nasser resumes on Monday. The judge extended the sentencing so that more of Nasser's 140 victims can get the chance to deliver their impact statements face to face after they were sexually abused under the guise of medical treatment. Dr. John LaPook has more from the Michigan courthouse following a fourth day of powerful confrontations.
I am here to tell you that I will not rest until every last trace of your influence on this sport has been destroyed like the cancer it is.
Team USA gymnast Allie Raceman made a surprise appearance to confront the man who abused her, Larry Nasser.
Larry, you do realize now that we, this group of women you so heartlessly abused over such a long period of time, are now a force and you are nothing.
Raceman then addressed the new head of USA Gymnastics, Kerry Perry.
Unfortunately, you've taken on an organization that I feel is rotting from the inside. We needed an independent investigation of exactly what happened, what went wrong, and how it can be avoided for the future.
Jordan Weber, another member of that team, came forward Friday to speak publicly for the first time.
My parents trusted USA Gymnastics and Larry Nasser to take care of me, and we were betrayed by both. And now, the lack of accountability from USAG, USOC, and Michigan State have caused me and many other girls to remain shameful, confused, and disappointed.
Nasser treated Olympians like Raceman and Weber for USA Gymnastics. In addition, he worked for Michigan State University, where he saw softball player Tiffany Thomas Lopez, one of 4 athletes we spoke with who are among the victims addressing the court. Thomas Lopez says after being abused by Nasser from 1999 to 2001, she spoke with a supervising trainer.
And she says, here we are. You're going to cause a rift. You're going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. You can do this. You know, she made sure to tell me, like, you can do this. You can file a complaint. But this is going to be big news. What's going to happen to him? That's what it was just all about, like, you know. Him. Yeah, him and representing the school.
She decided to drop it and soon left softball because of her injuries. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Dr. John LaPook, Lansing, Michigan.
Coming up after the break, with apps on our phones and new video games, is the era of good old-fashioned board games dead? We'll have that answer coming up next.